Hello pre-calculus students. These extra practice problems are designed to help you if you're having any trouble with homework 6.3. They're not the same problems as in homework 6.3, but they're pretty similar, so you can find similar problems with the same numbers. Let's talk first about domain and range. If you are looking for the domain, you're looking for the set of x values, and range is the set of y values. So you need to read your domain from the left to the right. Starting at your leftmost point, you're at -2. Then you go all the way up to 3. Then there's a jump between 3 and 4. Those numbers are not in your domain, so you need to leave them out. And then your domain goes from 4 all the way up to 7. So to write this in interval notation, you're going to start with a square bracket at -2 to include it. And you go up to 3. Also have a square bracket at 3 to include that number, and then start again at 4, leaving out all the numbers between 3 and 4. And then remember that you had an open circle at 7, so we're going to do comma 7, and then we're going to have a parentheses to show that at 7 we did not want to include that point. For the range, you want to read the range from the bottom to the top. So our bottommost point is -6, and I can continue on this line all the way up until -1. At -1, I can pick up on the second line and keep going all the way to 4, but not including 4. So my range can be written in one piece, starting at -6. There are no numbers left out, so I keep going all the way up to 4. And because of the open dot, I want to use a parentheses to leave it out. In problem 2, your domain starts over here at this arrow, which is going to -infinity. So your domain starts at -infinity, and it continues along until this open dot, but that dot is filled over here with a solid dot, so we don't have to leave -2 out of the domain, and you continue along until positive infinity. So your domain is -infinity to infinity. Okay, let's look at it again for the range. Your range, it seems like maybe it starts down here at -8. However, notice this arrow down here is going forever and ever down. So your range actually starts at -infinity. And you follow this up, it seems like maybe you reach a maximum point here at 3, but the problem is over here you have another arrow going on forever and ever up to positive infinity. So your range is also -infinity to infinity. Okay, we're going to graph some piecewise functions. The first one we're going to graph is y equals x minus 2. Your slope is not there, so let's fill in a 1 there. Your slope is going to be 1 over 1. And you start your graph on the y-axis at -2. So there's -2. And you do your slope of 1. And do that a few times to get enough points to make a nice straight line. Now you only want this line when x is greater than -2. I'm sorry, when x is greater than positive 2. So I want to put an open circle when x is positive 2, and I only want to use that part of the line over here. So the other dots I made, I can just erase those. I don't need those. The second part of the line is y equals -x plus 2. So my slope is -1 over 1. Starting at positive 2, I'm going to go down 1 and over 1. But I only want the part of the line that is less than or equal to 2. So look at the same point here that was open before, it's now closed, because I'm going to include it in the second function. And go all the way back up here with an arrow. X is less than or equal to 2. Okay, next one. The first function, I'll go back to purple. The first function is y equals 1x minus 1. So starting at -1, do a slope of 1. And I only want this function if x is less than or equal to -2. So I better go back and make some more points over here. Okay. Equal to -2, go on the x-axis down to where you're on the function, and then less than -2 would be this way. The other points we need to erase. All right, switch over to my second function, 2x minus 1, that will become 2 over 1. Start at negative 1 right here and do a slope of 2. Up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, and back here as well. And I only want this function for when x is greater than negative 2. So I'm going to put an open dot right here and then draw the line through my points. Okay. Number 6 has a lot of constant functions in it. So y equals negative 2, that's going to be straight across at negative 2. Let's go back to purple. From negative 1 to 1. So my whole line would be at y equals negative 2 here, all the way across forever and ever. But I'm going to erase the parts I don't need. So I only want from negative 1 to 1, and I do want to include those endpoints because I see the or equal to. Okay, second function. From 1 to 4, I need y equals 3. I don't want to include 1, and I do want to include 4. So let's go to y equals 3. And I want to erase the parts I don't need. So I only need from 1, over here I need an open circle, to 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I need a solid dot at 4, and I need to erase the rest of it. All right, and I have a third function, so let's switch color again. And I need y equals negative x if x is greater than 4. So it's hard to see where the m and the b are here. Negative x is the same as negative 1x, or negative 1 over 1x. And if there's no b, then the b is 0. So starting at 0, I do a slope of down 1 and over 1. And I want to start that at 4 with an open dot. 1, 2, 3, 4. Open dot right here. And x is greater than 4 will be this way. And all of those extra dots need to be erased. Okay, and let's give some endpoints to my second function. No, that's my first function. My first function was from negative 1 with a solid dot to 1 with a solid dot. All right, number 7, y equals x plus 1. We've seen that one before. Your slope is 1 over 1. So start at 1, up 1 and over 1. And I only want this piece of the function if x is less than or equal to 1. So at 1, put a solid dot, and less than 1 goes this way. Okay, erase the other points. And switch color. Okay, for the second one, it says y equals 3 minus x. That's a little confusing because the m and the b are switched in order. You can write that also as negative 1x plus 3. So starting at the 3, you have a slope of negative 1. Now I only want this function between 1 and 3. So here's 1, 2, 3. I want to include the 3. So I just want this piece of the function and erase the rest. And switch color again for the third part. I want y equals x. Again, it's hard to see that as a linear function, so I'm going to write y equals 1x. And there's no b, so plus 0. So starting at 0, I do a slope of 1 over 1. And I only want that if x is greater than 3. So here's where x is 3. I need an open dot, and then I need to keep going to the right. And I want to erase those points, try to do that without getting rid of anything else. Okay. All right, so that's the end of page 1. We are going to go to page 2 in a separate video.